Hello, I'm Jake Tischer, and today we'll be talking about ice fishing for panfish in thick cover. And generally what I mean here by thick cover is thick weeds or brush piles. Now, panfish in thick cover under the ice can often be very unaggressive, in a very negative mood. And what they'll do is they'll find a spot in that cover and refuse to move maybe no more than 6 inches to a foot in order to grab a lure. So what that means for us as fishermen is we have to thoroughly probe that cover in order to take full advantage of that piece of cover and catch as many fish out of that cover as we possibly can. So a very simple technique in order to thoroughly probe a piece of cover is to drill your first hole, fish above the cover first, maybe a foot or two above the cover, catching the more aggressive fish, and when you stop getting bites there, move down a foot into the cover. And when you stop getting bites there, move another foot down progressively until you get to be 3 inches off the bottom. And after you've used that technique to thoroughly probe the first hole, drill your second hole 1.5 feet away from the first hole. Then use the same technique in the second hole, fishing above the cover first, then fish 1 foot down further, 1 foot down further until you get to 3 inches off of the bottom. Then after you're finished with the second hole, drill a third hole 1.5 feet from the first hole and 1.5 feet from the second hole, and continue with this pattern until you've covered the entire piece of structure. Now remember, the whole point here is to get your lure within 1 foot from every possible spot on that piece of structure, because these fish are often not willing to move more than 6 inches to a foot in order to take a lure. Now when you're fishing thick weeds or brush piles in this way, sometimes it's helpful to downsize your ice jig a little bit. Say normally you'd use an 8 or a 10, maybe downsize to a 12, 14, or even a 16 in this situation. What that's going to do for you is it's going to reduce your snag ups, and also sometimes, since the fish are in a very negative mood when they're holding real tight to that cover like that, sometimes you get a few more bites because you're fishing a less aggressive presentation. Another note I would like to make is to make sure that the ice you're fishing on is good enough and safe enough in order to do this technique, because what you're going to end up with is a large area of ice that is covered with holes that are 1.5 feet away from each other. Thank you for joining me. Good luck to you.